Now, legal practitioners are raising the alarm over unofficial pointsmen regulating traffic during power cuts. Beggars, car guards and even street vendors have been ensuring the free flow of traffic. And many motorists have expressed appreciation for the relief during morning and afternoon commutes. But should there be a crash while following their directions, you could be held liable. Let's find out more about this from Kirstie Haslam, a partner at DSC Attorneys. Kirstie, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. Of course, you know, road accidents happen very, very often here in Johannesburg especially. But, you know, of course, all of this happens when the traffic lights are out during load shedding. A lot of, you know, backed up traffic you see on the roads as well. But if you are in an accident, are you liable to a certain extent, even if it was your right of way?
Well, what's important to note is that a right of way is not absolute. A right of way doesn't absolve a motorist from the duty to keep a general lookout, not only ahead of you, but you need to be aware at all times of what's going on in your vicinity. So if in the instance of an unregulated intersection or an intersection where the traffic lights are out because of load shedding, then the status quo ante reverts, which is that you need to treat that as a four-way stop or a three-way stop, whichever is relevant. And that means that the first one to arrive at the intersection does have the right of way. However, if, for example, another vehicle is barreling towards that intersection with no apparent intention of halting, then it means you need to exercise caution and make sure that that vehicle comes to a halt before proceeding.
Now, of course, we have these good civilians trying to help out, you know, at traffic lights when, you know, load shedding occurs. You know, some would maybe try to shift the blame to one of them if they were maybe even responsible for directing you in a wrong direction, because they are not professionals. They aren't really able to do this job efficiently sometimes. What happens in that case?
Well, it's actually against the law for anyone who isn't authorized to do so, to direct traffic. And equally so, it's not correct then for the motorist to abide by that person's direction. You as the motorist bear the ultimate responsibility for how you control your vehicle. So if you do heed an unauthorized person's direction and an accident ensues, you could well be held to be legally responsible for the circumstances of that accident.
Now, you get someone like MMC, Transport MMC, Kenny Kunene saying sometimes, you know, that, you know, we need to get the homeless to get the right skills in order to do this job. When someone like that says something like that, you know, people will think, oh, you know, this could be a possibility. But even if they were to learn those skills, would that then be somewhat more legal if an accident occurs?
They would have to be properly authorized in terms of the relevant statutes and regulations for that situation to be acceptable. It's not just only about a skill acquisition, because, for example, let's imagine you have a properly authorized traffic official directing traffic, but he makes a mistake and he directs two different traffic flows to proceed at the same time. In that instance, you could well have a situation where both motorists are partly to blame for not keeping a proper lookout and seeing what's going on, but potentially one could join the relevant traffic authority as a co-defendant because they weren't exercising their duties properly. Now, you wouldn't have that kind of a situation if you have a well-meaning civilian, albeit trained, but not properly authorized. There would be no recourse against that person.
And when can one then claim from the RAF?
Well, in any instance where you sustain bodily injury because of a motor vehicle accident which is caused by somebody else's fault, or partly your fault and partly someone else's fault. If bodily injury ensues, then you potentially have recourse against the Road Accident Fund.